The 2025 champion has already been crowned in S1GP, but that won't stop the action at one of our most compelling venues. Welcome to Belgium. Welcome to Mettet. We are in the region of Wallonia, concluding the season as part of the famed Mettet Superbiker, where we race on the streets. Wallonia accounts for over half of Belgium's land, but only homes approximately 1/3 of the population, which makes this an ideal place for people who like a more sedate tempo. These lands are historic and oft undisturbed. Sites like the Bouillon Castle and the Caves of Haan are jaw-dropping, and the two largest cities, Charleroi and Liège, are fabulous urban scapes where modern meets historic. Of course, we are focused on Mettet this weekend, a venue steeped in motorsport history where the likes of Surtees, Moss, Agostini and Ascari all competed. And while it's quite possible to spend all day looking back at the past on this hallowed turf, this weekend will be focused on the present with an exciting season closer. Mark Schmidt is champion. This weekend's big question is who'll be the runner-up, Hulbacher or Bonnell?
I'm happy of my season, to be honest, third in championship. I'm battling this weekend for vice world champion with Lucas.
Finally it's over. Second position at the moment, 14 points in front of Steve Bonnell. It will be the fight between us for the second position overall.
I enjoy this track in Mettet, the city track here. I feel good on the bike and all the stuff. So we will see. The better we will take the second place.
Don't make too many mistakes during the weekend to lose points. So my focus will be on not crashing and for sure to go with Mark, the speed. We fight and push for the first position this weekend.
The unique Mettet layout always delivers intrigue when S1GP is in town, and the fans will be a big part of it too. When you're popular here at the Superbiker, you can hear it. Let's take a look at this circuit at speed with one of the hometown stars. Roman Kivers, please take us for a ride. Here we go then, out onto the main straight here at Mettet, and you can see immediately just how wide it is on the approach to the first corner. There's room to go 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide at turn 1. A big pinch point therefore at the second corner, that hairpin where there's always a little bit of elbows out racing to be done. A nice, fairly easy going left-hander follows, but then it narrows to just one lane on your way into the dirt through this switchback. And then on to the first dirt section, the only dirt section, as a matter of fact, on this circuit. Up onto that berm that has caught out quite a few riders over the years in S1GP. And then under the tunnel, which then becomes a bridge as you leap over the tabletop and onto this lovely section of waves. You have to be careful where you place the bike though, because there's a bit of a lane change halfway along before putting on the anchors. Back onto the tarmac, back onto the main road, just briefly before diverting into the paddock of the nearby permanent circuit. This is slightly different grip versus the public road, but it is a very nice surface, by all accounts lovely and billiard table smooth. It also looks like the configuration through this section is a little bit wider, maybe a little bit more flowing than it has been in previous seasons, and that is certainly something the riders will enjoy. However, it's narrow, it's difficult to find overtaking opportunities. You've got this hairpin and then the follow-up here, which are overtaking places, but it will be hard work. And that second hairpin is also the joker lane that the riders have to take in the super final. the narrow run through the hay bales back onto the main straight, and that's our lap here in Mettet. Saturday played host to the final Metzler Superpole session of the year, and the form book of this season remained true. It would once again be Lukas Hüllbacher, Steve Bonnell and Mark Reiner Schmidt dueling for pole, and it was Hüllbacher out first. The Schrift KTM rider likes his rides on the wild side and always seems to do his best work in the saddle at our most exciting circuits. He found a tenth of extra pace compared to his Q2 performance to set the benchmark for his rivals at an impressive 1 minute 33.963. Next up, the already ordained 2025 champion, Mark Reiner Schmidt. While he had already claimed the crown, the Team Undici TM rider wanted to start this weekend off strong. He had been the winner at every Grand Prix of the season so far, and had only been bested in one race all season. His qualifying record has not been quite so ironclad, and while he pushed hard during his lap, he would ultimately fall short of the Austrian adversary's time. Schmidt stopped the clock at 1 minute 34.026, just hundredths away from pole. Of the three Superpole riders, Steve Bonnell had been the quickest of all in the Q2 session just moments before. If he could replicate his 1 minute 33.906 from that session, it would be enough for pole position. Could he do it? Certainly, his lap looked smooth for the most part, but the sector times weren't telling a good story. It would not quite match his Superpole rivals or his own previous benchmark. Ultimately, the Frenchman crossed the line for a 1 minute 34.324 aboard his TSV Factory TM, meaning third on the grid, heading into the first race. Lukas Hüllbacher starts the weekend with a smile and a novelty check. Could he spin this one-lap pace into race victories on the Belgian streets? Hüllbacher held the early Grand Prix classification lead as a result. Time then for race one of the weekend. Hüllbacher, Schmidt and Bonnell, your top three. Saint-Martin, Kuyvers and Mattia Rato on row 2 of the grid. Raphael Payet, Gabin Pernat and Julian Avia-Cortez, good to see him back on row 3. Mestres, Prevaznik and Andreotti round out the top dozen of what is a very busy grid as we're underway and racing for the first time this weekend at the Mettet Superbiker. And look at that, Hüllbacher challenging Schmidt, but Schmidt getting the better start of everybody. He gets the jump, he leads the early stages into the first couple of corners. He has clear road, he hasn't got to worry about anyone lunging. That was a perfect start from the new and indeed reigning champion. Bonnell falling back a little bit there. He's dropped a little bit. Mark Reiner Schmidt, the one who is leading them through the frontier at the front of the field here. Just 12 laps around this circuit, as we saw in the pre-race. Well over 2 kilometres long this circuit, so it is fairly lengthy by the standards of our average circuit length here in the Supermoto World Championship, and you can already see that Schmidt and Hüllbacher are the pace setters at the front. A huge stream of bikes pursuing though. It is a huge deluxe entry list, almost 30 bikes in the field for this weekend. The Mettet Superbiker, a huge event, a motorcycle cultural touchstone here in Belgium. One of the most iconic supermoto venues in Europe. An honour, as always, to be here. You see in the back of shot there in third place, Mattia Rato, the number 73, is running very well in third place, but Roman Kuyvers seems to be slow. Now that mudguard does look a little bit torn up. I wonder if he has some damage or whether he's had some kind of scuffle in the early stages. But that's going to knock the Belgian well down the order, which is a big shame for the home fans, of course. They are excited to see one of their own in the top half dozen. Yeah, looks like they're working away at that. They've got the bike underway again, but Certainly Kivers with issues, dropping all the way down outside the top 25. Looks as though Schmidt is really not able to distance himself from Lucas Hurlbacher. Hurlbacher on the KTM loves this kind of venue, loves the rush of racing at tracks like this, and well, he's not quite close enough for a move. We kind of talked about it going through that paddock section. It can be difficult to find the berth to make up a position. Mattia Rato now down to 5th place there with Avia Cortez behind him. So Steve Bonnell is up to 3rd place. Bonnell back up into the top 3, of course. He wants to be defeating Lucas Hurlbacher in every race this weekend to try and have any hope of securing the runner-up spot in the championship for Hurlbacher, who comes in with the lead in that battle for 2nd place. Everything's working just perfectly for him right now, though he would really like to get past Mark Reiner Schmidt. The German, though, is making the bike exceedingly wide. Bonnell kind of running on his own there, not quite under any pressure, but also not able to close in on the massive pace of the top 2. Here they go over the tabletop in the closing stages of this race. If it's going to be any time for Lucas Hurlbacher, it needs to be now, and he's right on the rear wheel. Can he do it through the final sequence of corners? It looks like Schmidt has it under control. And sure enough, they emerge onto the main straight with Mark Reiner Schmidt taking the win.
Yeah, the first race was amazing. I could make the whole shot, had a good pace. Lucas was pushing me from back, but I could control the race, and I'm happy to win the first one. Fast one is the next. I like to race here. The crowd is amazing. Thanks to my team, all my friends are here, and yeah, see you after for the fast race.
Well, Mark Reiner Schmidt takes the first win then ahead of Lucas Hurlbacher, who extends his hold over 2nd in the championship. Bonnell, Sammartin, Cortez and Mattia Rato rounding out the top half dozen. It truly is a festival feel at the Mettet Superbiker, where Lightning McQueen might have 3 wheels, but just about everybody else is using 2. It is a weekend where the Supermoto community from Belgium, from all across Europe, come together, and there's so much going on beyond the racing action as well. Everyone relishes the opportunity to ride and compete in front of these passionate, dedicated Supermoto enthusiasts. Time for the fast race, and it's going to be a good launch there by the looks of it from Lucas Hurlbacher. Yes, Hurlbacher leads in the early stages. Oh, but he doesn't get it stopped for the apex at turn 1. He slides wide. And if there's one thing Mark Reiner Schmidt does, it's punish little errors. And it was a very small error from Hurlbacher. It's allowed Schmidt into the lead. Hurlbacher in 2nd, 3rd place there for Steve Bonnell. Roman Kivers in 6th position aboard that number 96, looking to avenge the disappointments from earlier on. The Belgian racer would love to try and get himself into the top 5, maybe even onto a podium in one of these races in front of the home fans. You can see there a little bit of dampness down as they go back onto the tarmac after the dirt section. Be careful, at least in the early laps there, for traction. Mark Reiner Schmidt again at the front, again clear road ahead. It's always great to have an onboard camera with Mark because you get to see the very best in the world doing what he does best, but the downside is there's not often anything going on in front of him. Hurlbacher goes through the first corner there. You could see just how tight he was up against those barriers, those curbs. Kivers, meanwhile, looking to move up the field in a dice there. That was with Rafael Payet aboard the number 29. Worth noting as well the rookie classification battle. Coming into this weekend, Jan Ullmann had a 4-point lead over Gabin Pernat, but Pernat beat Ullmann in the first race, so they're really dicing for the rookie classification. It looks like Pernat might have the upper hand. It's always a big honour, of course, to be the rookie classification champ. Roman Kuivers now up to P5, and I believe it's Elia Sammartin that he's following there in 4th position. Oh, and you can see just how slippery it is there coming back onto the tarmac. Elia, you can't really have an armful of opposite lock on a motorcycle, but it was the closest thing. Schmidt and Hulbacher have once again cleared off at the front. Both of these two love their street races. We know Hulbacher thrives at the more unique destinations on the calendar. Of course, we've seen what Schmidt can do time and time again at Sankt Wendel. Kuivers has the run on Sammartin there, who got a bit too close for comfort with a hay bale. He has the inside line there for turn 1. Can Sammartin get the inside for turn 2? The answer's no. That's a position gain for Kuivers. And you can see some of the home fans punching the air. They've seen what's happened. They'll be delighted with that. Mark Reiner-Schmidt with maybe 2-3 bike lengths over Hulbacher, and credit where credit's due. Bonnell is not far back either. But again, for Bonnell, this is not the scenario that he would want, being behind Hulbacher for a second consecutive race. His hopes of vice championship status are slipping away. Kuivers, meanwhile, having one of his best runs of the season right now in 4th place, with Sammartin and the rest of the chasing pack behind him. One of those chasers is Mattia Rato, who's had a very good season, circuit racing specialist, and just came off of winning the all-tarmac Italian S4 Supermoto Championship, so he's riding high at the moment. Bonnell, of course, recently won the French Championship with the TSV team. And this man, Lucas Hulbacher, has done it all on the national level, a 10-time champion in the national series, not just in Austria, but also in Spain too. Mark Reiner-Schmidt, though, the 5-time world champion, this year's world champion, crowned before we even arrived here to Mettet, and it looks like he's got the measure over Lucas Hulbacher. Unless Lucas can do something really special in the last couple of corners, he's effectively out of overtaking opportunities, though. They go back out onto the main straight. The checkered flag awaits, and again, it goes to Mark Reiner-Schmidt. Well, Mark continues a fabulous weekend. He's yet to be beaten to a Grand Prix win all year long. Hulbacher and Bonnell finished 2nd and 3rd. Hulbacher within touching distance now of vice championship status.
The race was good. Start was super. I had a small problem in the 2nd corner where I lost the position to Mark. So my goal was to be in front. To overtake you on this track is super difficult. Mark is super strong, like always. I'm happy to be fast today. Super proud, super thankful to the team. Schroof Racing, the bike, KTM, super. Track is nice. Yeah, the speed was good. I was more fast, but I couldn't overtake. So tomorrow, 2 more races. Let's go, let's enjoy. Thanks to the people here, thanks to my team, thanks to everybody. Ciao.
Well, massive congratulations to Lucas Hulbacher on a very good race, but he's going to have to do something special to beat Mark Reiner-Schmidt to the Grand Prix of Belgium. Schmidt's won 2 races so far. Can he sweep the day? Super final time, Schmidt, Hulbacher and Bonnell, your top 3 on the grid. In 4th place, Roman Kuivers for Belgium, Sammartin and Avia Cortez following up from there, Rato, Hayet and Mestres in 7th, 8th and 9th. Pernat, Pravaznik and Eddie Freck round out the top dozen. Underway for the final time in 2025, and it's a good start from Mark Reiner-Schmidt. Bonnell looks to have got a good launch as well. It looks like Hulbacher, uncharacteristically, is being a little bit swallowed up by the pack there. Kuivers has fallen back behind Avia Cortez, so the MTR KTM rider moving up the field early doors. He's in 4th position, trying to get past his fellow KTM rider, of course former MTR KTM rider, these days the Schroof rider, Lucas Hulbacher. Hulbacher remaining in third place. Bonnell there in second, Schmidt in the lead. For Hulbacher, it's no imminent concern regarding the vice championship battle that Bonnell is ahead of him. But of course, given the pace he felt he had in the fast race a minute ago, being down in third behind Bonnell here in the super final is not what he wants in the slightest. He would be hoping to try and beat Schmidt finally here, especially with that advantage of the Joker lane in play. You don't have to make the overtake on track necessarily. Strategy isn't a factor with the Joker lane there. Everyone has to take the Joker once. It's a longer line around one of the hairpins in the stadium section. There's Schmidt back out onto the tarmac with a good 2 seconds or so over Bonnell. Through that narrow return onto the main straight. Very little time to breathe at this circuit, and Lucas Hulbacher looking very menacing on the back of Bonnell. It would be a mighty ride from Bonnell to hold on, and he's not going to hold on. Hulbacher is through into second place. That must have happened down at the hairpin. Hulbacher then up to P2. Bonnell starting to drop back a little bit there. Already from the wheel of Hulbacher. What's Schmidt going to do? Well, Hulbacher is going to take his Joker. And that's going to put him, just behind Avia Cortez. That's probably not what he was intending. Avia Cortez up to third place on a temporary basis, but all three riders ahead of Hulbacher, of course, still have to serve their Joker. Mark Greiner-Schmidt focusing forward, looking to build himself a insurmountable advantage, but he's not really doing that with Steve Bonnell hot on his heels. Avia Cortez releasing Lucas Hulbacher. He goes through the Joker. Fourth position for the Spanish racer, and look at Bonnell. He's doing everything he can to hold on here to Mark Greiner-Schmidt. He wants to make a statement. He won the French Championship this year. He's established himself as one of the big three here in the FIM Supermoto World Championship. But getting a win over Schmidt, especially this year, where Schmidt has been in the absolute prime of his career, would be incredible. Can it happen, though? Schmidt looks to be distancing himself just slightly. And Bonnell takes the Joker lane. I believe Schmidt actually did take the Joker earlier on out of the sight of the cameras. So he's already taken his Joker. Hulbacher is back to second place. He's back on the wheel of Mark Greiner-Schmidt. Can he do anything with just a couple of laps left to go? The master of all street circuits seems to be our world champion Mark Greiner-Schmidt. Beating him on the streets is easier said than done, but Hulbacher is putting everything he can into it. It's the last lap of the race. It's the last lap of the season. Can Hulbacher find something deep in his arsenal? It doesn't look like it. It's going to be Schmidt who sweeps the weekend and wins every Grand Prix of the season in 2025. Sheer dominance by Schmidt. What an effort from Mark Greiner-Schmidt. Hulbacher and Bonnell, second and third place. Cortez, Sammartin and Kuyvers, your top six. Gabin Pernat with 8th place, again finishing ahead of Jan Ullmann. He will be the rookie champion in 2025. Here's the Grand Prix standing. Schmidt, Hulbacher, Bonnell, Sammartin and Avia Cortez, your top 5. To the podium then, Steve Bonnell with 3rd place aboard his number 3. He'll be looking to rally, to improve, to do whatever he needs to do to find that last 10th or 2 in 2026. Lucas Hulbacher 2nd. And again, as with every event this season, Mark Greiner-Schmidt wins the Grand Prix. Freddie Tashny presenting the trophy to our champion, to our Grand Prix winner. Sabine Araliu, the FIM Chief Steward, presenting the gold plate to Mark Greiner-Schmidt. And it's time to celebrate aboard the podium, but not before the medals celebrating and commemorating these riders' efforts in the World Championship. Schmidt with the gold medal, all gold everything in 2025 for Mark Reiner Schmidt.
3 races, 3 wins, another great weekend for me. I could win all the races, just miss one. Thanks to all my fans, my friends are here, so now it's time for the Superbiker and then for big party today. Can't wait for it, see you guys later, and next year of course, bye! Woo!
And guess what? He went on to win the standalone grand final of the Mettet Superbiker as well. He wins the championship by almost 100 points over Lucas Hurlbacher, Bonnell, Sammartin and Cortez, your top 5 ahead of the rookie classification champ, Gabin Pernat. Well, 2025, a historic season in S1GP. Dominance at a level we've possibly never seen before from Mark Reiner Schmidt. Every Grand Prix went to the #1 rider. He is the benchmark, the Weltmeister, the world champion in Supermoto.